Stretch. This is an amazing segment. I'm Gary Bowles. I'm the chair for the future of work with Singularity University. And what that means is I get to go to places like cocktail parties, tell people my title, and have them ask me, will robots and software take all of our jobs? Will my child have a job in the future? And my response is, well, you know, that's actually one potential future of work. And if you just looked at the headlines nowadays, that's all you'll see, is that the zero-sum mentality about our technologies overtaking all the tasks that humans do. Eventually, there's just going to be a shrinking circle of work for humans. Now, if you take Ray Kurzweil's view that the future is better than you think, then there's a second future of work, and that's where we have actually switched the calculus. We've actually decided to take all of these disruptive technologies, these exponential technologies that are transforming our world and our lives, and we've turned them on ourselves to help us to all develop superpowers. But there's a third future of work, and what the data shows right now is that it's probably not completely that dystopian future. It's probably not that completely utopian future. It's actually that the two exist simultaneously. That there's all of this amazing work, all of these problems to be solved that each of us will be able to focus on if we have the ability to continually transition to solving the work of tomorrow. And what I've become convinced over a couple of years of focusing on these issues, traveling the world, talking to unlimited number of people, is that our deliverable today, working together, is not an answer. If we all came up with what we thought was the answer to the future of work today, we'd be wrong tomorrow. It's a process. We need to discuss the ways in which we continually adapt, the strategies that we need to use today that allow us to build that more positive future tomorrow. So I'd like to invite my two guests up to join me to be able to discuss what those strategies could be and how we can create that positive future together. Please help me in welcoming Stefan Casriel from Upwork and Kelly Stephenways from here. Welcome to our new home. All right, so I've already warmed them up for you. Everybody's ready to hear what you have to say. So the two of you, each of you, from different lenses, has been focused on the world of work for quite some time. You've developed a thesis, I guess, of some of the things that could make you hopeful and some of the things that concern you. So I'm actually going to start off with Kelly. What's one or two things that make you really positive about the future of work, and what's one or two things that freak you out?
So what I'm most excited about is that we really have an opportunity to create the future and live in this abundance mindset. That we can point human beings towards work that's more meaningful by leveraging all the technology that we have today for some of the insights about their skills, their aspirations, and if we can really match that, we can create phenomenal experiences, jungle gym careers, as I call them, people that have this portfolio of experiences. And then we can come together and really solve some big problems for the world. I guess what scares me is when I look at the trifecta of GDP at its lowest level, unemployment at a 50-year low, particularly in the US, but globally unemployment is low, and the fact that engagement still rests on low double digits. This is a real problem for us that if we don't solve this, and the fact that if we embrace this scarcity mindset versus abundance, that we're going to leave so many people behind, and we will have moments like we had in Detroit where we just, decimate a whole city in terms of economic value. So I see that's sort of what scares me, Gary.
Okay, great. Stefan, how about you?
Well, I'm an optimist, so let me start with the scary part, and then we can end on the more positive part.
Right.
I would say the scary part to me is the doom and gloom scenario that makes the headlines. So the idea, that you mentioned, the scenario where essentially we become the slaves of the robots, or the cattle and the pets of the robots, and what Yuval Harari calls the useless class, where the vast majority of the population is underemployed or unemployed, living on universal basic income, and essentially pretty desperate. And I think the reason why that story is really damaging because it could be self-fulfilling. If you truly believe there is no future, then why would you invest in building a better future? And so the risk is we talk about something that is extremely unlikely to happen, and then we make it happen despite ourselves, and that really scares me. I would say the optimist in me, this is a conference about exponential, and technology is exponential, but humans are not. And so what's going to happen is, when I grew up, when you were writing computer code, you'd be writing it on a piece of paper, and people would help you debug it on the piece of paper because the machine was expensive and humans were cheap. And that time is gone. Machine computing power is infinite. Data is infinite, and the thing that hasn't evolved all that much is humans. And what that means is we've become the scarce resource. And when a resource is scarce, you take care of it a lot more. So the hopeful side of me thinks we're going to put the human at the center. We're going to allow people to do the things that they're really good at and outsource to the machines the 3Ds, the dangerous, dirty, and demeaning jobs. And we're going to allow people to work from wherever they want and have more flexibility in their life. And that's going to make people more fulfilled. And so I think there is a scenario, but we need to figure out how we get there, where it ends up working out much better than it works today.
So I think we all share this sort of cautious optimism, but here are some of the challenges that I see. So first off, you're right, it may not be a likely future, but the truth is so much of the way that we think about innovation, the way that we fund innovation, it's about 10xing things. And that normally means doing things at a tenth the cost of messy, expensive humans or more.
Yeah.
And so that first dystopian future that I was talking about, Silicon Valley actually is kind of dancing in the end zone or between the goalposts, right? We won, messy, expensive humans lost, and we made all the money. So, but the truth is, robots and software don't take jobs, humans give them away. So leaders and organizations, they're the ones that are making these decisions about what you automate. So Kelly, you've been in a range of different types of organizations. And so tell me about some of those rational decisions. And do you think there's any particular characteristics of organizations that are building that more inclusive future or more prepared for that type of future?
So I think there's three characteristics that I think are important for organizations. I think being adaptable, building adaptable workforces that are fluid, having some humility, knowing that in this sharing economy that we don't have to invent everything in our own organization, that through partnerships we actually can do things exponential. And then I think being resourceful, to be innovative and creative takes some resourcefulness. I think that we have insights now to jobs that are going to be automated. We have the insights to get in front of this and to reskill and upskill and to give people choice in the direction they're headed. So I think we can make a difference in this capacity going forward.
And do you think that's going to change the calculus around engagement that you were talking about? I mean, the truth is we've got this, so I call them the old rules of work, this traditional model of engagement between an organization and a worker. The organization said, yeah, I'm going to give you a job for a long period of time. And the worker said, yeah, I'm going to give you my loyalty for a long period of time. So that starts to erode. So now is the new contract, is it something along the lines of we will continue to help you to adapt and to do the work of tomorrow? And how do you fund that? Like, how do you justify the cost of that?
I think that it's about giving people a more personalized, customized experience. And we've done that at Here Technologies. We actually built a platform that opened up an internal marketplace where we could visualize their skills. They actually have a very personalized profile. And we use machine learning and artificial intelligence to match them. So we're actually democratizing that work. We're giving them more choice. And I think by doing so, we create that loyalty because we're giving people the opportunity to bring their whole selves to work, which is something we haven't done in the past. We've really seen people in more of a myopic view under, a job and a title.
So I want to continue on that contract, and especially from the organization's perspective. So, Stefan, you've chosen to be the CEO of a newly public company. You've got 2,000 employees, but 75% of them are not traditional employees. They're actually workers, independent workers on your contract. And when I tell other CEOs that, their eyes roll up and they start to sweat, because the idea that you would have a bunch of people working for and with you who could walk away tomorrow terrifies them. So how do you think about that process, and what do you do differently to be able to keep that engagement?
Yeah, so the myth of people are going to stay with you for a long time because they have an employment contract with you, like even if that's legally and technically true, that's the engagement problem, right? I mean, if people stay because they have to, as opposed to they want to, they may not be giving the best of themselves, and it may not be additive to the company. So I would say the short answer is treat people the way you'd like to be treated, right? I mean, if somebody is an employee, you want to be their employer of choice. If somebody is a freelancer, you want to be their client of choice. And frankly, the minute details of how you do this might be somewhat different, but the fundamental concept is still the same, which is give people meaning, give them something that they can contribute to, something where they can show their skills, they can improve their skills over time, and treat them like they're part of the team. They're core to what you do. Don't treat them like a vendor that you're trying to squeeze and pay as late as possible and all sorts of other things that people tend to do with their traditional vendors. And then what you'll find is some of the most loyal people that will work at your company are not your full-time employees that come from 9 to 5 and come on site. For a very simple reason, which is your local labor market is incredibly, talk about non-exponential. It's the pool that everybody is fighting for. And meanwhile, you've got this huge population in the US and worldwide of people that are typically not being addressed by the local job market.